Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapisa Sibili. Now, first story, President Akufo-Addo says he will position Ghana as a center of excellence for medical care in West Africa by 2030. This, he said, will be achieved by mapping various regional health facilities for specialization and investment in healthcare infrastructure. The president was speaking at a ceremony to start the construction of hospitals promised last year. Nanel Jima has more.
According to the president, research has revealed $6 billion was invested in seeking medical services abroad by Africans in 2016. Nigerians alone spent $1 billion of the amount. The population of West Africa is projected to reach 500 million by 2030. President Akufo-Addo believes medical care delivery holds great economic potential.
The goal is thus to position Ghana as an attractive medical destination with excellent medical facilities for our neighbors to patronize. Several countries have benefited from international medical travel. Benefits to these countries include enhanced GDP growth, improved healthcare infrastructure, foreign direct investments, tourism promotion, and importantly, halting the brain drain of skilled medical professionals. In order to take advantage of the huge potential for medical travel, we began during my first term in office a program to revitalize healthcare infrastructure in our premier hospitals. Investments were made in the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra to build a new 400-bed maternity and gynecology block and a new 100-bed urology and nephrology center of excellence. Government will build on this foundation and include two additional projects currently in the planning stage, namely the Trauma and Acute Pain Center and a new surgical service block with modern inpatient facilities.
The president says a corresponding investment will be made in education to achieve the target.
Whilst we upgrade facilities, we should invest in medical education and training of our health personnel, including expanding the use of IT for medical diagnosis and treatment in the Agenda 111 healthcare facilities being.
Away from that, the Anglican priest who kissed 3 female students at St. Monica's College of Education at Asante Mampong has been relieved of his duties pending investigations. Authorities at the college say the decision is to allow the necessary inquiry into the conduct of Reverend Father Obeng Labi. Acting principal of the college, Venerable Dr. Crunchy, says the decision was reached by management of the school and the Anglican Church. Ohimiteria was in the school and filed this report.
Reverend Father Obeng Labi is seen in a viral video which has received wild public condemnation, kissing students after a Sunday Mass service. The incident is said to have occurred after Sunday Mass service to usher in new SRC executives of the school. The peace kiss from Father Labi was to appreciate and honor students who are members of the chaplaincy committee for distinguishing themselves in the college. Authorities of St. Monica's College of Education say the man, who has been working in the school for the last 5 years as chaplain and lawyer, is relieved of his post until further notice. Venerable Dr. Crunchy is acting principal of the college.
Our attention as a college was drawn to a video which has gone viral. It's gone far. Many of our people outside the country have tried to reach us, trying to find out what is happening. And they are on various social media platforms involving the chaplain of our school, casing some students whilst officiating the Mass on Sunday. The Anglican Church, Internal Province of Ghana, has issued a statement this morning on the matter, expressing how saddened they entire Anglican Communion has been, as far as the matter is concerned, and also providing a way forward as far as investigation and our support service to our students. The said Reverend Father, by the directive of the church, in fact, he is not a full staff. He was seconded to be with us, and is a
Now, 100 youth in the Bosomtre district of the Ashanti region are benefiting from skills development programs to reduce the unemployment situation in the area. The youth are being empowered with startup equipment, skills training and seed capital to start their businesses and satisfy other needs. It is an initiative by Education Minister Dr. Foresee, who doubles as a Member of Parliament for the Bosomtre constituency. Prince Apia reports.
The 100 persons to benefit from the Economic Empowerment and Skills Development Project are residents of the Bosomtre constituency. The motive of the project is to address the unemployment rate in the area. Dr. Educhum emphasized the need for solutions tailored to suit the challenges confronting the
people. Your Afia, Duasa, engineers, University of Science and Technology. They say, Sabe, one to make engineer, not just intimate wow. Tianuntin Amonso, Monium, and Michafa, Mom Yetri, Mom Bapmade, I knew none a bed, my BSA, every bois, and put you about my brother, and no man, and I'm a pay, yea. Sa no be home was also na snake a crab one. Obetimi akoye juma no wetimi so enya na no aduane to social welfare any agencies bia na betimi no ma yeduma bia no be juma na etimi apagya Bosomtre amana ko anim.
He said this when sets of hair dryers, sewing machine and other salon equipment were presented to 15 persons to either start up or enhance their business. Other beneficiaries of the project are being supported to get into other training colleges or service institutions. Barbara Athankroma is Executive Director for She Achieve Africa.
So Bosomtre One Stop Development Center is supporting 100 participants. Out of the 100, we have 20 that are receiving sewing machine, hair dryers. Then we have 5 of them that are currently enrolled in vocational training for female, which is under Persevered. Out of the same 100, we have 20 that we've bought training, nursing, immigration, and university forms for them. It has already been submitted. Out of the same 100, we have about 20 of them that we are helping them rewrite or reset their WASI examination. Out of the same 100, we are helping them to have access or funds to start their business or to continue or to expand their business. We have 10,000 cedis set aside for these beneficiaries. We would like to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to Plan International for funding this project and to the MP for Bosomtre constituency, Dr. Foresee Educhum.
Some of them spoke to Love News.
Enam Jumadi so Amamensumania, Baba Hono Mamma Quest at Meduma. As I say, now, many will be a Nedman or Ewono, a Jumum. I couldn't buy a babino, a boy Mammasumania, no ma, Mensumania Quest at Mensumidi.
Maria SS, or upon Memorial Senior School, Kokofu. By Maria and Nampens and Juma. A year, Yao Kwame Educhum, Ena Abuami. And I'm so Amamensumania sewing machine, Educaco Juma.
Now, 722 farms belonging to 1,605 farmers were destroyed in last Thursday's flood in the Upper West region. That's according to an assessment by the National Disaster Management Organization. NADMO also says 336 people have been displaced. Upper West Regional Director of NADMO, Ahmed Mustafa, has been speaking with correspondent Rafiq Salam.
It is a regional crisis of monumental proportion ballooned to a national level, and the country's president sent one of his top ministers to console and sympathize with chiefs and people of the region.
In the midst of all these regrettable incidents, he is at least happy that no life has been lost. He is saying so because life, when lost, cannot be regained.
Kwesi Amankwata assured the chiefs and people of the region of fixing the roads in record time.
No matter the extent of the devastation, no matter the extent of the destruction of the road network, that is within human capabilities, that is within the powers of his government, and that all roads that have been destroyed and bridges destroyed would be reconstructed in a record time.
In PNW Ghanem, they found a reliable partner who constructed more than 80% of the roads in the region, including those destroyed by the flash floods.
Our engineers have been on site. They are doing a lot of work. They are taking inventories. And by the end of the week, by Friday, before Monday, we would have known exactly what should be done to reconstruct the roads, to reconnect all areas that have been separated from the rest of the region.
It's been 5 days since the floods occurred in the Upper West region, and the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, led by its Upper West Regional Director, Ahmed Mustafa, has finally been able to make initial assessment of the situation.
722 farmlands have actually been washed away of what happened on Friday, and the total number of farmers of this acres stood at 1,605, and we have some houses that were actually collapsed, and the total number of households that have actually collapsed is 80 of them, and individual being displaced so far as this flood is concerned is 336 as at now.
Ahmed Mustafa revealed that in the next few hours they will be reaching out to some of the affected victims with relief items to assuage their suffering.
Now, the Techiman Holy Family Hospital is one of about 300 health facilities across the country to receive nebulizer machines aimed at improving pediatric and adult asthma management in the country. The donation forms part of the Africa Puma Initiative, an AstraZeneca Ghana project intended to complement government's efforts in the management of asthma and aligned to the Health Ministry's national policy for the prevention and control of chronic non-communicable diseases in Ghana. Anas Sabit reports.
In low and middle-income countries, children living with asthma are faced with many challenges which has long-term impact on the child, their families, and in some cases, the community as a whole. Generally, in Ghana, however, there is a lack of access to asthma medications for children due to cost. Here at the Techiman Holy Family Hospital, the pediatric ward, which receives over 200 children per month, has just one nebulizer. Senior specialist pediatrician Dr. Jacqueline Japoma Asibe told JoyNews that patients sometimes have to queue for nebulization, a situation she described as worrying.
We have the capacity, but not enough. The emergency ward has one nebulizer, and the pediatric ward, which serves 44 beds, also have one nebulizer. So there are sometimes mothers will have to queue for nebulization. But it was worrying. The mothers complain, and the children become very irritable. So it wasn't helpful. And then medication deals with time. So it means the time that is allocated, we go past the time, and that doesn't help with the care.
Fortunately for the unit, however, the facility, through the Africa Puma Initiative, an AstraZeneca program which aims at improving pediatric and adult asthma management, is one of about 300 health institutions receiving nebulizers to support children with asthma. Mauli Atiemo is the country lead for AstraZeneca Ghana.
We are working in partnership with Ghana Thoracic Society and the Ghana Health Service on a project called Pumua Africa Initiative. Pumua is a Swahili word which means breath, and it seeks to redefine asthma care in Africa. So Pumua is basically managing, supporting asthma care in both adult and children. When it comes to children, sometimes managing asthma is quite a challenge. Nebulization happens to be one of the mainstay of management for asthma in children. And so that is basically why we are focusing on children. You know, they are very delicate and they're the future of the world. So getting them into good shape is a good way to go.
The group's main focus, according to Mauli, is to help strengthen the system in reducing deaths reported from asthma.
And that's it for the AM News. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Mapito CBD.
Let's go.
It's time for the daily graphic review, yes.
Let's have the daily graphic. So, Agenda 111 hospital project takes off, and then the trader community is the first beneficiary. So that's the story that's trending, or that's the main story in most of the newspapers. This happened yesterday. The president cut sword for work to begin. And then special anti-armed robbery squad for Eastern Bono East regions. Kissing priest asked to step aside. So the kissing priest story. And we do apologize. Yesterday, we failed. We had promised to tell you, to bring you that story. And we failed to do that. So we do really apologize. But I'm sure you follow the story on our bulletins all through the day. All right. So let's get on to page 16. So kissing priest asked to step aside. Maybe let me just bring you a bit of that. So the Anglican priest seen in a viral video allegedly kissing some female students of the St. Monica's College of Education in Mampong in the Ashanti region has been temporarily relieved of his duties as the chaplain of the college. So yesterday, Reverend Father Balthazar Obenglabi was directed by management of the college to step aside to facilitate investigations into the matter by the Anglican Church of Ghana. So essentially, so it wasn't acting at all. You know, I was saying they probably were acting.
Yeah, no, they were not.
They were not acting. All right, and in politics, deploy 48 Engineers Regiment to Upper West as the NDC Parliamentary Caucus, and persecution of political leadership is bane of underdevelopment, Prince Imba. On page 18, the politics page, Asamoah calls for loyalty, unity in MPP. Socialist movement launches first Congress report. And then Mahama expresses concern over management of the economy. So the story goes, former President John Mahama says he will not be surprised if the country goes back to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, due to the manner in which the current administration is managing the economy. He explained that from previous total public debt of 120 billion cedis, the country today has a total debt of about 370 billion cedis, almost 400 billion cedis, which was incurred under the ruling New Patriotic Party. And he was speaking on the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation's URA radio station in Bolgatanga yesterday as part of his one-day thank you tour of the Upper East region. And then he also talked about the NDC, says, according to him, what the NDC did during their time was to invest in intangible things such as infrastructure and paying off high interest debts, especially the local debts that the NDC inherited. So he actually made reference to the Agenda 111, the hospitals. He believes that it's an afterthought by government, and that the government spent most of the monies it borrowed on consumption. Okay. And Ghana needs graduates in public policy analysis to deal with service delivery. That's Professor Ayi. And let's go to the center spread now. President Akufo-Addo inaugurates Professor Edu Boahen Memorial Square. So President Akufo-Addo has described the late Professor Emeritus Albert Kweju Edu Boahen as an astute politician. He also credited him as the man who first gave him his political appointment as secretary to the then People's Movement for Freedom and Justice. President said this at Drabing in the Ashanti region yesterday when he inaugurated the Professor Dubois Memorial Square, built in memory of the professor posthumously in fulfillment of a 2016 campaign promise. Minister affirms commitment to fight galamsey. 2021 WASI for school candidates. WAEC says COVID-19 safety protocol will be observed. And then pursue receivers for locked up funds. That's the Auditor General saying that to the University of Cape Coast. Also in the Daily Graphic, let's go to page 38. Take advantage of AFTA to make Ghana industrial hub. Safomafo charges local industries. New board of Cocoa Board charts to sustain progress. And page 44, work with diligence. Agriculture Minister charges Buffer Stock Company board members. Now let's go to the sports page. 2021 African Cup of Nations. Ghana to face Morocco, Comoros, and Gabon. Back page, work on secondary Takrady interchange begins. And Ken Angelo Furiata build flats for doctors. I'm done with the Daily Graphic.
Well done, Israel.
How many minutes?
5, uninterrupted. I didn't say a word, so all you. Yes, okay. Let's move on to the Ghanaian Times this morning. And on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, government rolls out Agenda 111 initiative as president cuts sod for construction of 111 hospitals nationwide. And Bust overruns their budgets by 30 million Ghana cedis due to unplanned activities in 2019. The Presbyterian Church is taking a stand against LGBTQI+, vows to sever relationship with churches groups that allow gay practices. Anglican priest lands in hot water over holy kissing. And there's a story on page 3 that's quite interesting. Hairstylist in trouble for bigamy. So a hairstylist, she's called Angelina, married an entomologist in the US in 2016. And while she was married to him, she married another man in the year 2018. She has pleaded not guilty. She's on bail. But it's just interesting. It's just interesting then. This US husband has been sending about $400 every month and established 2 well-furnished salons for her. And then she went and married somebody in addition. I mean, so she has one husband in the US, one husband in Ghana. Anyway, she's in trouble, so don't try it. Don't try this at home. Estate developer in court over visa scam. Alleged wife killer case has been adjourned to September 13th. Now, Ivory Coast has begun their Ebola jabs. Remember that they had a confirmed case a couple of days ago. A few more. So they've started taking the jab for Ebola. And that's on page 5 of the Ghanaian Times. Storm Grace complicates Haiti's quake rescue efforts. Our hearts go out to Haiti and our prayers as well, as they're dealing with the earthquake, and then now it started raining, which is making it even more difficult for people to be rescued. Now, Ghanaians, Togolese must observe COVID-19 protocol. That's according to the Togolese envoy. There's a story about Ishmael and Isaac on page 8, if you're interested. I'm sure it's very interesting. A couple of job announcements and all of that if you're looking for a job. And then interesting, National Theatre to showcase new production, Ayiyi, on Friday night. It's a story of Ayiyi, a peculiar child with extraordinary characteristics who embarked on an adventurous journey. So now that theatre is open again, you can go out there and enjoy some made in Ghana drama. 2,790 received COVID jab at Okankwe North Municipal Assembly. Wow. 2,790 people. That's a good number. Presby Church takes a stand. Anglican priest in hot water. I'm sure you've seen the statement. It was making the rounds yesterday. Maintain quality of Ghana cocoa. The Agriculture Minister is charging the board of the QCC, Quality Control Company of Ghana. Okay, a few more stories in the Ghanaian Times. Deploy military to repair roads, bridges in the Upper West region. That's according to the NDC caucus. And you know that the Upper West has suffered a lot in the past few days because of the rains. And they've had some major road issues. So the NDC, this is the NDC's suggestion. I'm not sure if it's tongue-in-cheek, but anyway. Economy projected to expand by 8.9% in Q2. And some good news for you, fuel prices to reduce this month. The IES is predicting. They are predicting that the various changes in prices of the commodities on the international market are expected to affect local market prices in Ghana. So for this window, with a 1.49% reduction in the price of international benchmark Brent crude, the 2.17% decrease in the price of gasoline, and the 1.77% decrease in gas oil, all these things should combine to work together for your good. And your petrol should be cost, or your fuel should be costing you less. So looking forward to that as well, coming up in the next few days, possibly. Okay, let's do a little bit of sports. Barca debt up to £1.15 billion, which probably explains why they let Messi go. Let my people go. PSG prepare bumper contract for Pogba. A story that pains my heart to do on page 31. Hearts register players and officials for Africa. So Ghana's representatives, Accra Hearts of Oak, have completed the registration of players and officials for the 2021-22 CAF Inter-Club competitions. So they're representing Ghana, so all the best. We painfully
Thank you very much.
On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, government committed to sustainable management of natural resources and be diligent in managing country's emergency food security reserves. Dr. Akoto tells the NAFCO board. That's it for the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, let's go to the BNFT. Huge gap between the BOG's rates and lending rate baffling. Senior advisor to President, $330 million Buankra Port Enclave lands under siege by encroachers. Nuclear power would accelerate after prospects, says MPG Executive Director. A new Exim Bank board formally inaugurated. Government begins 2022 budget preparation, focuses on revitalizing and transforming the economy, targets total revenue and grants at 89.1 billion Ghana cedis for 2022. Total expenditure is projected at 128.3 billion. Overall budget deficit is projected at 7.9%. Okay, then let me just read a bit of the nuclear power story. So, the Executive Director of Nuclear Power Ghana, Dr. Stephen Yamwa, has said that Ghana's quest to add nuclear power to its energy mix could not have come at a better time, since the African Continental Free Trade Area has pushed governments to prioritize industrialization, and a critical feature that would guarantee success is reliable and affordable electricity. So that's you can get the Business and Financial Times and get more on that story. And the female vice chancellor brands are on the rise globally. Here is why Professor Nanaba Apia Amfo is a great addition. So there's a feature that's been done on her. It's on page 7. Then on page 8, how to answer, tell me about yourself during an interview.
Oh, I see.
You want to get the business.
Oh, I want to read that. That'd be interesting.
Get to, yeah.
So tell me about yourself, Israel.
As in an interview, or just telling you about myself?
Oh gosh, you see, now we have to clarify. And isn't every interview an interview? You know, like that elevator, what's it called? The 3-minute elevator thingy that you only have a few minutes to make a really good impression on anybody that you meet. And really, anybody you meet is kind of an interview, isn't it?
Okay, so you want me to tell you about
myself? So tell me about yourself. Let's do a demo of how to tell about yourself.
Okay, I haven't read the article, but if I show up on an interview, and I'm told off the cuff to tell people about myself,
you'll just say, I am the Israelite. Must I say more?
Okay, let's go to the back page of the Business and Financial. New Exim Bank board formally inaugurated. The private healthcare providers push for tax exemptions. I'm done with it.
Oh, forgive me for worrying you so much. I do love it though. The front page of the Daily Guide this morning. Okay, let's do some of the stories. GNPC Auditor General clash over report. Opposition not for fighting Backbin. Opposition not for fighting Backbin. That's on page 3. Kissing Anglican priest fired. I want to ask this man, that's what actually came of, what inspired his bouts. Like, what's, I can't anyway. Agenda 111 takes off.
You know what MFR Powell of JoyNews calls him? Father Christmas. Yes,
Victor Brashi has been posting all of that on social media. And it's difficult to really understand what inspired him to do that. I mean, because up till now, he's been somebody that has been quite respected. I mean, a lawyer for, I think, the GES for that whole, for that whole area. And then, you know, a priest as well, I mean. And on the altar, my God. Anyway, let's do some international stories. Oh, there's a striking image that captures the Afghan Exodus on page 5. It's a lot of people just trying to get to safety. Really, really poignant image there. It's on page 5 of the Daily Guide. Dozens killed in Niger village attack. France wildfire. Thousands flee wildfires near the French Riviera. So a lot happening in the world there. Ghana doesn't need new education policies. That's according to the Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Educhum. He has said that the country doesn't need new policies for the education sector, but rather the holistic implementation of the already existing policies. I have a question for him. I wonder if there's some parts of the curriculum that he's seen, how outdated and outmoded they are. But anyways, okay, entertainment. Van Vicker condemns Anglican priest for kissing students. Strongman has debuted a new hairstyle. All right. Lil Wayne attempted suicide at age 12. This is not Lil Wayne like Lil Wayne. No, this is Lil Wayne, the original Lil Wayne. Beverly Afaglo weeps and calls off donations. Apparently she lost her Temakom 9 home in a fire outbreak, and asked fellow actresses Yvonne Nelson and other friends who opened GoFundMe account on her behalf, and Nana McBrown, who has been asking people to send her mobile money to end the campaign. She says, "Thank you to all my celebrity friends who supported this. I'm sorry, because of me, people insulted you and call you all sorts of names." Okay, so that's sad. I pray that you'll be okay, Beverly. SNIT recovers 4.15 million out of 11. What about SNIT has recovered 4 million. It's out of 11 million. So that's still almost 7 million. Yeah. Like, we're making a lot of noise about what has been recovered. What about what hasn't been recovered? And how you're going to make up for that deficit? Because at the end of the day, it's our money, and we expect it back. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to make us feel better. Anyway, Volta COVID-19 cases jump to 999. Somebody will say this is spiritual, 999. But anyway, the cases are going up in the Volta region. I think they should probably take a cue from the Bono East region, because they are doing a fantastic job of getting their numbers under control. So that's it there. And then teenage pregnancy is high in Bolga. What go on in Bolga? So some zones of the Ghana Health Service of the Bolgatanga municipality have recorded high teenage pregnancies among antenatal attendants. The Sirigu Health Facility recorded 25.7%, the Sumbrungu 22%. Oh gosh, those numbers are not good. He said, so they've been speaking about it, and we're being told that it's due to young marriages. A lot of them are getting married at 18 and even 17 in some cases. So still child marriage is still going on in some places in Ghana. I'm not a ritualist, Fancy Gadam, okay. Woman with 2 sex organs speaks. 21-year-old woman who, okay, so she has 2 vajayjays, not a vagin, the other one, just 2 vajayjays. That's interesting. I wonder how it works. Okay, on the back page of the Daily Guide, Luton Council targets disability sports development. Player headbutts teammate, and Marina's Roma grabs Abraham. Okay, that's it for the Daily Guide. I'm going to read some of the stories. I'm very interested in some of them. Israel, I'm done.
Okay, let's go to the Finder. And on the front page, Kufado's 111 new hospitals takeoff is the biggest health infrastructure drive in Ghana. NAFCO only dealing with registered suppliers since 2018. That's the CEO. Anglican priest took his students relieved of his duty. Street lighting is critical to reducing road accidents and crimes at night. And in the center spread, central banks should better communicate monetary policies, distributional effects. And actually, that's about it, because most of the stories have been captured in most of the other newspapers. Maybe I'll do a bit of sport here. So Paralympian boat show in Kegbe fumes as he's excluded from Paralympics. And investment in sports infrastructure will help groom future stars for Ghana. That's the NSA boss, National Sports Authority boss. Naomi Osaka breaks down in tears during press conference in Cincinnati. But Barcelona interested in signing Aubameyang, and arts players need international exposure before CAF Champions League campaign. Ibrahim Tanko.
Aubameyang, that's my son's favorite footballer.
Okay.
So we've learned his name by force, even though it took us a minute. During the Daily Statesman, teacher impregnates 3 students in one class. So a teacher at the Comenda Edna Eguafo Abrem municipality in the Central Region has impregnated 3 girls in the same class. This was disclosed by a lecturer at the UCC Counseling Center, Dr. Trema Teria Dabon. He said that this situation is threatening the future prospects of the young girls in the municipality. He added that a formal complaint had been lodged against the teacher for appropriate sanctions to be applied to him. He made this revelation during a seminar. So, that's tough. Other stories in the Daily Statesman. Auditor General chases ex-ECG boss over 70 million Ghana cedi deal. Let's protect our girls from sexual abuse. That's on page 5 of the Daily Statesman. COVID-19 vaccination, massive turnout at Tema General Hospital. So we're very happy about that. Well done to everybody who went out there to get vaccinated. Anglican Church responds to the priest kissing video. I'm sure you've seen that statement. They said they're saddened by the behavior. He's been asked to step down. And of course, sanctions will be taken against him. Okay, let's do some international news. Algeria detains 36 after mob killing of man accused of starting fires. Egypt and Japan foreign ministers are discussing cooperation to resolve regional issues. Biden defends messy U.S. pullout from Afghanistan. Haiti earthquake, the death toll climbs as tropical depression grace hits. So they're having a storm as well, I was telling you. Venezuela opposition politician Guevara freed after talks. All you need to know about brain fog, that's on page 14. Sheffield United agrees season-long loan deal for Liverpool centre-back. Barcelona president reveals the club debt stands, I was telling you that earlier, 1.15 billion. And Jorginho, Chelsea and Italy stars rise from Brazil's beaches to Ballon d'Or contender. And Kwesi Appiah, Crawley Town snap up Ghana forward. So, Ghana striker Kwesi Appiah has signed for English lower division side Crawley Town. The club has announced. That's it for the Daily Statesman.
Right, so the custodian, Agenda 11 hospitals to create over 20,000 jobs. That's a Kufuado. Rains destroy 722 farmlands in Upper West. 1,605 people have been affected as a result. Zoom Lion denies wrongdoing in Auditor General's report. And in the center spread, they have GMPC refused Auditor General's report claim, Auditor General's claim on procurement breaches. And then I'll go to the back page, the sports page. Asamoah set sights on Black Stars' return. The legendary Ghana striker Asamoah Gyan has set sights on playing for the Black Stars again as he squashed reports that he is thinking about retirement. Now, Gyan has not played for the Black Stars since the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations, and his recent form makes it virtually impossible for him to return to the team before next year's AFCON to be staged in Cameroon. But he's been speaking with Kespen FM. He says, I have not retired from football. And he says there were some injuries last season, but I'm not done playing football. I can wake up one day and announce my retirement from football, but at the moment I am active. People will criticize me But I'm only hoping to get back to my normal form and wait. But if I'm not able to regain my form, then I will call it off. But at the moment, I am working on myself to lose weight. I returned to Legon Cities, and you could clearly see that things did not go as planned because I have to put on weight. But I'm giving myself another season. I trust I will be back to form, and if I'm on my form, I don't think I'll be overlooked for Black Stars selection. But for retirement, not now. So yes, expect to see Asamoah Gyan back playing for the Black Stars.
Okay, Asamoah. Good morning to you if you're watching us. Anyways, let's move on to My Joy Online. We just have a few minutes left, so maybe we can run quickly through the headlines. myjoyonline.com. If you have your phone at home, you could just go there as well and check out the headlines. But we're going to do that whilst we wait for that. Okay, there it is. So major headline, Akufo-Addo has been complaining about delay in appointing MMDCEs, according to Obi Amwa. COVID-19, GHS records...
But hold on, why is he complaining? Why is the president complaining?
I'm not sure.
He's the one who has to make the appointment.
I guess maybe he's waiting for, the people somebody to let him know the people that are standing or that are available per region. I'm sure something is causing some sort of delay somewhere otherwise. Anyway, other stories. Israel will call the president and give us an answer on that later on. Yeah. Okay. GHS records 15 deaths in 2 days. Hospital projects put up by NDC have stalled for over 5 years. That's according to Mahama. And he does make a good point there, I must agree, about how a government will start something when the government leaves. If it's not finished, most of the time the new government won't take it up. They want to start their own thing so they can say, oh, this government did this and this government did that. But ultimately you're doing it for the people. So how bad will it be to say Mahama started, Akufo-Addo finished, for a better Ghana? How bad will it be?
I can give you a whole lecture about that. And my focus is all about how much it's like sunk cost. So money that could have been used for other things have been spent on this, and we've left it there.
We're waiting for that government to come into power again. So, come on, let's put Ghana first, and make decisions that make sense, as opposed to just very partisan ones. And so for once, I actually agree with President Mahama. There we go, ex-President Mahama. We first killed a pregnant woman, Kaswa Rachel murder suspects. St. Monica's College of Education begins counseling for female students kissed by an Anglican priest in viral video. More stories on myjoyonline.com. And before we go on a break, let's just say a happy birthday to Matthew Mensah Nsoa of DVLA. 37. You're a good man. It's from Ekosam and the Gears. Oh gosh, okay, Eko. Anyway, happy birthday to you. If it's your birthday today, hope you have a fantastic day. It's my mother's birthday today, Mrs. Molly Animado. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to her.
You are loved, more grace and long life to you always. All right, people, so we're going to go.
For a party?
There should be some chicken soup, at some point.
Don't tell her to.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have sports for you. And then, of course, very, very interesting show. So don't go anywhere.
We come home now and talk about the Ghana Premier League, where football fans will now be able to gain entry to the Ghana Premier League matches by scanning digital tickets at the stadium gates starting next season. The marketing manager of the Ghana Football Association, Jamil Marabi, has revealed.
We want to be able to sell tickets without necessarily having a physical ticket being printed. So it can be from your phone, from the USD, or it can be from your mobile money you purchase. And then you show the barcode when you get to the stadium. Or for those who don't have Android phones, you have a code that when you come in, you mention the code and then you check and you can enter. So it's something that we're exploring to have it on the Premier League, as well as the national team, but more likely the Premier League. So this is the update we have for ticketing.
Now, what kind of format would you use to choose who will provide the service?
I think it's basically it's the convenience of the product, you know, how effective and how convenient, and also the rate, because definitely whoever is going to provide the service will charge.
Now let's talk about the Premier League champions, Accra Hearts of Oak. They will be participating in the CAF Champions League, and board chairman of the club, Togbe Afede, has charged the players to secure the hunger of succeeding. According to him, success is one thing that the players must seek to achieve, and without that, their participation in the CAF Champions League will come to naught.
We here want to do is to create for you a platform that will enable you to attain the highest possible in your professions. That is where our joy is. That is where our joy is. If I hear 1 year from now that one of you is in an English Premier League club or a Spanish La Liga club, that is where my joy would be. That is one. But I want to also emphasize that you are all capable of it. Sometimes the problem is that you don't imagine you can be there. I want to tell you today that each one of you, with hard work, can be there. And I'm happy to always share with you my own experience. You think that when I was your age, I thought I could set up an airline? No, I didn't. You think I thought I could build a power plant? No, I didn't. You think I thought I could be a shareholder of House of Oak? No, I didn't. But these have become realities. It starts with having ambition, deciding, I want to be like this person who is the best in my field. And believing, therefore, that you can do it because he has done it. But as I've always said, it's not enough to wish or to desire. You back it up with what? Hard work.
All right, you're still on the AM show, and we're going to be talking about housing. Many people have a challenge when it comes to homes because we don't have enough homes around. And so people have to struggle with their landlords, and they have to struggle with rent and all the challenges. So most people prefer to have their own homes. But when it comes to that, people are wondering, do I buy the house outright or do I build? For most people who don't have the money to buy outright, then they're thinking maybe I should be building. But building too comes with its own challenges. Now, the JoyNews Habitat Fair is a central point for exhibitors, building consultants, buyers, and prospective buyers to get solutions about housing and its accessories in an environment adherent to COVID-19 protocols. This year's Habitat Fair will have 3 mini clinics. There's one at the Achimota Retail Center, West Hills Mall, and Junction Mall. And then the main fair will be at the Accra International Conference Center, as well as virtual seminars during each event. Today, we take you to one of our sponsors, Plant City Extension Project, to learn more about their packages and how you can benefit from them. So what they do is a combination of if you want to buy outright and if you want to rent to own. That's their option. Let's get to learn more about them.
Fair is almost here, and how can we talk about Habitat Fair without the Plant City Extension Project, that is rent to own? Well, so we were here last year and virtually nothing was happening right in this place. It was flat land, not even graded, and in less than a year, this is actually what you see. And by March, the people who have put in investments into this project will actually be moving in. And so if you haven't been part of this project, well, then you should, because very soon the whole place could be occupied and you will be missing out. I will be speaking to Mr. Edu, who is actually the project coordinator taking care of this project, and he'll be giving us some details. But if you just tune in, you're welcome to Brick and Mortar, where we talk construction and we talk about where the big important deals are happening, the innovations, the technologies, and everything you need to know about construction. So come with me and let's have a discussion on rent to own. So I was just telling viewers about rent to own. Sure. It's been less than a year, and there's so much activity. Tell us what's happening here right now.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. Right now we are putting up structures for those who are already on board. I mean, there are over 100 of them. In fact, let me say 200 plus. Some want to move into residence by March next year. So of course we have prioritized, for them. We are currently doing we have for Sector 1, the Block A and then Block B. Sector A has 3-bedroom detached homes, gold, where all the rooms are en suite. And then Sector B has 3-bedroom semi-detached gold, where all the rooms are also en suite. Then we have Sector D. I mean, up there, it's 1-bedroom, semi-detached, gold. It's also ongoing. So that's what is happening currently.
Okay, so just in case someone doesn't really know the rent-to-own concept and they are looking at you recapping and telling us exactly what's happening, can you bring us up to speed again on what this project is all about? Then we can go into details.
Thank you. Rent-to-own, essentially, it's a package. It's a hybrid of housing delivery, various housing delivery systems. So the concept or the model is that you opt to be paying rent. You're paying up to 20%. You're going to be allowed, or you're going to be giving occupancy onto your home. Then whilst you are in there, you are paying the rest for any payment plan that you choose, whether it's 5 years outright, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, depending on how your pocket, is.
So if someone wants a house by April next year, and they want something like the 1-bedroom en suite, exactly what should they be looking at?
Yeah, so you should register.
How much does it cost to register?
499 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
And then do an initial deposit of 3,000 Ghana cedis. And then the following month you start making your monthly rentals.
Which is,
I mean, that depends. That's for the 1-bedroom, as you're talking about, that's 1,049 Ghana cedis. So once you're making, because it's 20%, you should make the 20% before you move in.
How long will it take for someone to make a 20% deposit for that 1-bedroom house?
Well, you can do an outright 20%,
payment.
An outright payment. You can do, say, 6 months. You can do in bullets. Say every quarter you are doing, depending on your, it all depends on you.
Yeah.
But once you have applied and registered, generally, within 3 years, for all the types of the homes, all types of houses here, within 3 years, the homes are done. So if you have done your 20% by then, then you can move in. Otherwise, your 20% generally would be somewhere around 5 years. Yeah, but some can't continue to pay rent, for landlords. So this actually coming to help for people to own their own homes flexibly, I mean, without sweat.
So you said this particular place is for 3-bedroom and suite?
Yes.
Okay, let's go into the details of it. If someone wants to be part of it, exactly what happens?
Okay, so it's also the same principle. You opt to do your initial deposit. You opt to register your initial deposit of 3,000. Then you opt to register 499 Ghana cedis. Start making your monthly rentals. The monthly rentals for this currently, the price wasn't so about a year ago. Currently, the monthly rentals for the 3-bedroom detached is 2,700 Ghana cedis.
Previously, let's say almost last year, around October, when I spoke with you, the cost wasn't the same.
That's right.
So what you're saying is that you're advising people to do it as soon as they can.
Absolutely, because, for instance, by the close of the Habitat Fair, somewhere around 31st October this year, the land prices, which is currently going for 32,000 Ghana cedis outright, is going to be up. It's going to be up. So, I mean, those who are interested, I encourage them to do so as fast, because it's fast, you know, it's fast moving. Currently, there is a promotion, the +1 promo, which essentially is that if you buy the house or if you apply for any part of, I mean, any type of house within this period, you are going to have an additional room, because all our plants, all our homes are designed expandable. So if you apply within this period, you're going to have an additional room. So for instance, your budget is not up to, say, 3 bedrooms.
Yes.
You can do a 2-bedroom. At the end of the day, you're going to get a 3-bedroom. Yeah, so essentially that. But
because of the promotion.
Because of the promotion.
What are the terms and conditions?
Essentially, too, you should have finished paying for your home. Anytime you finish paying for your home, you are going to be added. You're going to be giving an additional room. Number 2, you should be part of the affiliate housing cooperative. There's a housing cooperative that is associated with this project. You should be part of
what goes into this affiliate housing cooperative?
You basically, it gives you cover as a client. As you're paying, anything can happen. There could be temporary loss of income.
So some sort of an insurance package.
Well, you may want to call it so, but I mean, it's a kind of security for you. So if, say, you are into the project, maybe 40%, 45% you down payment, and something happens, temporary loss of income, or you become invalid, or even death, yourself or your next of kin can take it up. But the housing cooperative will give you up to 12-month respite. It will be paying your monthly installments, your monthly rentals for you, whilst you take that time to sort yourself out. If you have done 70%, 75%, the housing cooperative will give you 3 years respite, 36 months, whilst you take time to sort yourself out. So that is the benefit, you know, for, I mean, being part of the housing cooperative.
Many people have had fantastically difficult times with real estate companies. It's either the quality of the work is bad, or they promise things that they do not deliver. Exactly what is the Cities and Habitats Planned City Extension project doing differently?
Well, you can see we have, I mean, as you can see the quality. You can even see from the environment. I mean, the sanitation. It is very organized. That's number 1. Number 2, there are enough safeguards that we have put in for the clients who are paying for their homes, and then also for the project. And a very classic one is what I'm telling you about the housing cooperative.
Yes.
Which is regulated. I mean, it's the oversight department is the Department of Cooperatives. That's in charge for all cooperatives in Ghana. You know, it's also established by law.
Yes.
So it's a very serious thing we are doing here. Yeah.
Now,
and of course, all this and more coming up. Habitat Fair 2021 will be giving you more details as the days progress. But right now, though, we're crossing over to Studio 997, where the hosts of the Super Morning Show sit down and have an exclusive interview with Charlotte Foresee, former chairperson of the Electoral Commission.
And it was so real. We knew it was an exercise, but it was so real. You know, and they put you against the wall, stand up, lie down, do this, do that. After the exercise, I was like, hell no, this is, I wasn't born for this. So.
You were scared you wanted to probably stop?
Not scared enough to stop, but I think it just made the fears. It brought it really close. So that bothered me.
Talking about the fears, was there any time that, I mean, this was a mock exercise that you had to go through. But did you in reality come across that, apart from the mock exercise you went through?
No, I know there was one day we were coming back from the office, and my office was a good 45 minutes drive from the UN compound, so it's always cause for a little apprehension and anxiety. Even though you're going in armored vehicles, you should always be like a convoy, and they always know where you are at any time. There's a lot of security protocols. But coming back one day, so the UN compound is on the left side of the road, and we're coming on the right side, so you have to go and do a U-turn. So across on the side we were on the right side, just from nowhere, we saw like a group of about 20 young people, all holding AK-47s. They looked very scary. So I was like, what's going on? And the driver was, because I didn't see the driver reacting in any way, I didn't see him radioing. And he was like, oh, this is like a local gang. And I was like, and they are so armed? And he said, yes. And so they are walking in front of the car, so you don't know if they are going to stop us. And I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, we're close to the UN compound, so we can get reinforcement. Yes. And so they just parted, and we drove through. But there were like at least 10 seconds there that was like heart pounding, like, is this a Taliban threat? Like, is this the day they get us? So,
okay. So let's look at the job itself. I mean, you were there as part of a group of advisors, tasked with helping the electoral
commissioners.
Yes, commissioners, in the conduct of the elections. Let's look at what you did in organizing that 2019 elections.
No, so I was an international commissioner with the Electoral Complaints Commission. So there are two election management bodies in Afghanistan. There's the Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, and then there's the ECC. So they put two international commissioners on each of the commissions to support the Afghan commissioners. So the mandate of the Electoral Complaints Commission, where I was that throughout the electoral cycle, so if someone had issues with registration, for instance, they could file a complaint. And then we would bring the IEC and say, this is the person's complaint, this is the evidence, maybe why were they not allowed to register, or maybe registration didn't go smoothly in their area. So, so you do that through registration, through the candidate nomination process. So any decisions taken by the IEC that affect either a candidate or a voter, they file the complaints, and the ECC adjudicates over those complaints. So it required working with the IEC and in a certain way also supervising aspects of the IEC's work. So normally when there's an electoral activity going to happen, we would announce the dates and the process for receiving complaints. Then we set up a procedure for going through the complaints. So there was a whole structure. People who would go through the complaints, assess it, make their notes, and then it travels up to the commissioners. And then we have to sit and give a decision and serve that decision on the IEC. And the IEC has a duty to comply with the decision. So if the IEC does not, the complainant also has the right to come back to us and let us know that the IEC did not comply, and then we can enforce it.
Were there instances the IEC didn't comply?
There were times when they were a bit slow and we had to go in.
What were their concerns?
Oh, I can't. I mean, it's varied.
Varied.
It's varied, yeah.
Okay, so let's look at one of two things. I mean, we know what's happening in Afghanistan now, but while you were there, was there any time you felt Afghanistan was not ready for the elections? Was there any time you thought of probably, postponing elections to a later date?
Oh, yes. There were long, long meetings and discussions between the IEC, the ECC, the international community, just trying to decide whether the security situation was stable enough to permit elections. The Taliban had made it clear that they were not for the elections. And some of the complaints we received was that in prior elections, people had made allegations that post-voting, if you were seen with the voting mark, fingers were cut off by the Taliban and all that. We were also concerned whether polling stations would be safe in some areas, because remember that even as of 2019, there were areas that were controlled by the Taliban.
Sure.
Sometimes when our staff, like our district heads, came to head office for meetings, they would complain to us about the security situation. Taliban were overrunning their districts. Taliban had set up roadblocks. So those concerns were always there. And 2019, before we had the elections, remember that the Trump administration had also started direct engagements with the Taliban. They had signed a deal with the Taliban that they were going to withdraw troops. It was not clear when, and I remember there was a certain period where the government was not even at the negotiations table. So we didn't know what was happening, and so there was pressure from the government side, go ahead with the elections, because they felt they needed the legitimacy to be able to join the negotiations if there were an elected government and negotiate on behalf of the Afghan people. But up until that time, it was between the Trump administration and the Taliban. Government was excluded. So there was pressure from that side to go ahead, from the political side, to go ahead with the elections. And we were concerned about the people. Was it safe enough for them to actually set up polling stations?
Did you think it was safe enough for them to have the elections?
My honest personal view, no. I was quite worried that people would be sent out and they would be harmed. But you're part of a team, so you go.
But the team wanted the elections to go ahead.
The IEC certainly wanted the elections. I'm sure. I think the ECC, I didn't get a sense that there was any position. Some people felt it should go on. Some people felt it shouldn't go on. So we had all these meetings where everybody would voice their concerns and their perspectives. And a lot depended on security reports that we were all receiving and we were not in control of. So the decision was taken to go ahead with it.
My guest this morning, Madam Charlotte Osei, who's joined us right here on the Super Morning Show. We're having a conversation about her time in Electoral, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
We'll come to the Electoral Commission briefly, but the time.
Is that on the menu? Okay.
I'm still thinking about it.
Okay,
I'll let you know shortly. But her time as part of a UN team of electoral commissioners to help organize elections in Afghanistan. We're trying to understand what the situation was in Afghanistan and lessons that we can learn. So when you look back, you've talked about Taliban. We'll get to, the lessons shortly. But how important was Taliban in all of this? Why did their decision not to support elections matter to you?
It mattered because there was a war going on, and the Taliban were fighting the government and fighting the international community that was in Afghanistan to support the government. And the Taliban are part of the largest ethnic group, and they were spreading, and they were getting more powerful. So it mattered because they could intimidate, they could create situations of insecurity. And so you don't put people out to go and vote when you know that going to vote may result in loss of life or harm. So that was important. But you know, in all this, we can't forget that it's really all about the people. Whether it's political parties, whether it is whatever, the actions are supposed to better the lives of the people. And so you don't want to take decisions that put the people in a place of harm.
How does it feel knowing that post-election Taliban is taking over the country, elected president fled out of Afghanistan?
On a certain level, it's very surreal. It's very surreal. I was speaking to one of my friends who is still there yesterday, and I was asking, he's still on the UN compound, and he said, oh, we're being guarded internally. We always had the Gurkhas guarding us internally. He said, we're being guarded internally and externally by the Taliban, and it was very funny.
The Taliban are guarding?
Yes, it was funny on a certain level because all the training they give you is to protect you from the Taliban. It's to keep you really far from them, and now they're the ones who are protecting the UN compound. So it's surreal, but on a certain level as well, I'm not sure it's unexpected. I think if you read the history of Afghanistan, and it's a very complex history, I can't pretend to have read all of it or most of it. And if you listen to the stories in Afghanistan from the ordinary people, the Taliban were always very clear. They said the Americans had the watch and they had the time. The Americans had the watch. In other words, they knew that at some point they would get tired and they would leave. They were in for the long haul. And they've been proved right.
They've been proved right because now they've taken over. More like you foresaw a thing like this happening while you were there?
I can't say that, but there were always concerns. Just watching the players, there were concerns.
You've talked about security situation and all, and we've seen lots of politicians running away from Afghanistan. I mean, we've seen the elected president, one who had indicated earlier that he was going to stay in Afghanistan, running away from Afghanistan. You've talked about security situation. Let's look at the people of Afghanistan. I mean, once you were in there to organize elections, you may have heard the sentiments, the concerns that they had in there. Whenever you had a chance speaking to some of your colleagues who are Afghans, what did they tell you were their concerns, particularly with the regime?
Okay, so first of all, the life of a UN commissioner in Afghanistan is very restricted. You cannot even roll down your car windows in traffic to buy anything or to speak to anyone. There were so many times Afghan colleagues, and Afghans are the most hospitable, incredibly sweet, incredibly generous, kind people.
Really?
Yes, and they would want you come home. And
more than Ghanaians?
Yes. Come home and you could not go home because the security protocols just would not let you do that. They would have to, if an Afghan colleague wanted me to come for dinner, they would have to give advance notice. UN security would have to go to their house, check it out. And there were even times that they would tell us, you cannot go to the office this week, or we have to do this, we have to build another bunker. So it was a very security system, and for good measure. So in terms of engagement with ordinary Afghans, I just want to create the context. It's very limited. But I would speak to the lady who cleans my accommodation, the drivers, I'll speak to the people at work. I had a group of young daughters in the office, young ladies in their 20s, and every day after lunch, because Afghan colleagues, you must. They'll be very upset if you don't. So 12:30, you go for lunch. And by 1:30, when we come back to the office, these young ladies will be waiting for me. And that's where we used to engage and talk about life. And this one will say, I'm getting married. And I'll be like, I want to meet the guy you're marrying. Kandahar boy, no, I want to see him first, and that kind of thing. So there was that little community. So my perspectives of what the ordinary people want are from that community. And, the average Afghan wants what the average Ghanaian wants. He wants a peaceful life. He wants the opportunity to earn a living. You want your children to go to school, have a good education. You want them to get jobs and be independent when they finish school. You want good health care, you want access to health, access to education, the same things we want. You want to be able to go out and have a nice day with your family and friends and get back home safely. So that's what they want. And it's not exactly what they were getting. Okay. And so when you talk to them, I'll give you two examples.
Go ahead.
There was one time there was a bomb blast. I can't remember who took responsibility for that, at a wedding. And a couple of days later in the office, I was talking to one of the drivers, and he was saying another driver's brother had been involved, had been at that wedding and was injured. And he now told me a story about a young boy who was about 7, who had been at the wedding with his father and had gone up to his father and said he wanted some candies. And, you know, he wanted money to go and buy the candies. And the father was like, no, I'm not going to buy you any sweets today. And the boy put his hand into his father's pocket. You know, those their robes, yeah, to take out money to go and buy. You know how kids are, to go and buy candies. And at that very moment, the explosion happened. So the father was unconscious, and when he woke up in hospital, of course, his first thought was, my son. So he kept asking, where's his son? And as they are taking the ropes, you know, cutting the ropes off him to give him treatment, his son's severed hand is taken out of his ropes. Those stories keep you up awake at night. There was another time that a security installation was bombed, and there was a school by it, and there were 2 siblings, a brother and a sister, who were killed in that blast. And the story later that came out was that the young boy had had his 7th or 8th birthday the night before. So there was a little celebration at home. So the following day, Mom wakes him up to go to school, and he's like, no, he doesn't want to go to school. You know, kids, he's tired. I don't want to go to that. I don't want to go. No, you have to go. So he goes off with his sister, and that's the last time the parents saw their children alive. So that's not what any parent wants. That's not what any citizen wants. And you could, when we had meetings with the political elite, you could see a total disconnect. When you talk to the people, they just did not feel that the political elite cared. Okay. And those ones were doing the usual, fighting turf, fighting for their positions and whatever, and the people were getting increasingly disillusioned. And so I remember there were times when I was speaking to one of the drivers, and he said, you know, some of the youths who have joined the Taliban, when it's time for Eid, they come home. Okay. And they have Eid meals with their families, and then they go back after Eid and go back to the Taliban. So you could almost sense that there was something going on in terms of the structure of the society that would make the Taliban attractive to these young men.
Great. I mean, I'll get back to you on something Madam Charlotte Osei, but let me say that if you're just joining us this morning, we have Charlotte Osei joining us in studio. Many of you would know her as former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, but she was also in Afghanistan as part of a team of electoral commissioners appointed by the UN to assist in the organization of elections in Afghanistan. And she's here telling us her experience in Afghanistan. Of course, you know Afghanistan is in the news now. She's telling us what she had to go through in Afghanistan. And you've just heard some persons having to who have joined the Taliban, coming home for aid and going back to join the Taliban. I mean, you started by talking about the situation in Ghana is just like the situation in Afghanistan when it comes to what the people want. Now, if you look at that and talking about the experience in Afghanistan where they had become disillusioned, there's a disconnect between the political elite and the people, do you see the same situation in Ghana?
I see a lot of similarities, and I see a lot of lessons that we should be learning in Ghana. See, Afghanistan is one of the, in terms of the natural beauty of the country, it's one of the most beautiful countries I have ever been to. And I've been to over 40 countries. It's one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to. There are places in Afghanistan that look, you wouldn't believe it's real. You would think it's a postcard. Natural beauty. Okay. The geographic positioning of Afghanistan makes Afghanistan very important to most of the world superpowers. The people of Afghanistan are incredible. They are extremely kind, extremely sweet, extremely generous. And they were not born looking for war. They can be very stubborn, yes, but aren't we all? So we can't, for me, the lesson was that we cannot take a lot of things for granted. Democracy is not a spectator sport. So we're not supposed to just stand on the sidelines and cheer because our team is winning or boo because our team is not winning. It takes the active involvement of all followers and leaders to have a country that we can all be proud of, a country that is functioning the way that we want it to function, a country that is going the way that we want it to go. We can't have a system where you only hear the voices of politicians being amplified. We must find a way to also amplify the voices of the people. And we have to come to the realization that in this experiment we're doing, there are no winners and losers. We're either all winning or we're all losing. And so we cannot have a system where people are not allowed to cheer the government, for instance, or critique the government without being put into a side. So what happens now is that even if the government is doing right, you cannot praise the government. As soon as you praise the government, he's been bought. Same thing, as soon as you critique the government for something you think is not right, he's part of the opposition. So what we're doing is cancelling out all the voices.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because depending on what side you are on or perceived to be on, both it cancels out. You can't praise government, you can't correct. And sometimes I wonder if you had parents at home who were like that. So when your father praises you, oh God, then mommy gets angry that, why are you praising him? You should be criticizing him. And when the other side criticizes you, it's not healthy. It creates a very toxic environment for all of us. So nobody's winning, we're all losing, actually. That's the way I see it.
That's the way you see a current democracy?
Yes.
We're all losing, we're not winning.
Yes.
I'll get back to that shortly. We need to find out more about that. Why you believe we're all losing and not winning. This morning, joined by Charlotte Osei right here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. We're also live on the JoyNews channel. And, of course, for our folks at Love FM in Kumasi on 99.5, thank you very much for joining us. You could also be part of us on Facebook page Joy 99.7 FM, and also on YouTube Joy 99.7 FM. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello. Oh, Charlie, how be? Bro, I need some help.
The democracy.
Are we not carrying everyone along?
That's not for me to make a judgment. But I get concerned when I hear a lot of ethnic stuff, divisions coming up. I get concerned that we are living in this country pretending as if everything is all right with our governance when there's a certain part of our country that is not represented in Parliament.
You're talking about SAL?
Yes, I think that should worry all of us every day. I get concerned when I hear a student being denied admission because of a religious belief or a hairstyle. I get concerned when I hear that a Muslim child in a school is not being allowed to observe their religious beliefs. Those things bother me because it's almost as if we keep pushing people out rather than bringing them in. We should be finding ways within our rules and our constitutions to accommodate beliefs, to accommodate faiths, to accommodate practices. I get concerned even with the gay lesbian thing and the way we're approaching it. Again, it seems to me it's very exclusionary rather than inclusive.
How?
Because when you legislate sin, it's very difficult. It's something that a group believes is a sin. To legislate sin, I don't know how you're not changing the person. You are legislating against the action. And in doing that, depending on the approach you take, you even make the person feel you are not good enough, you are not part of us. That bothers me. As a Christian, we're told to hate the sin and love the sinner. So I may not like the whole thing about homosexuality and all the alphabets that come with it, but my constitution should also teach me that I must be a bit more tolerant of people with different beliefs.
Okay.
And as a Christian, God judges, the Holy Spirit convicts. My duty as a Christian is to preach the word and to pray. And none of us are saints, really. None of us are saints. And that's why Jesus said, if you are without sin, cast the first stone. So I would have loved to see churches reaching out to them, encouraging them to come and worship. Come, let's pray together. Doing that does not mean that you are endorsing the sin. It means that you are loving the sinner and you are hating the sin. But it must be a more embracing approach.
Okay.
And I think that is what I would love to see at all levels of government.
Based on your experiences in Afghanistan, you've talked about, the young ones getting into Taliban, would come home for aid. Now, based on that experience, do you fear that we're probably pushing people away from?
Precisely my point. Because you see, when you make people feel like they are less than citizens, they are not good enough, you just may find that there are extremist groups out there who reach out to them and make them feel welcome. Come over to our team. Here you are a valued and loved member. Oh, you want to go for Eid? Oh, here's some food to take to your family. The relevance and the value you're not giving them within the group you should. They are finding it outside. And that's where extremists get hold of youth. And when you add that to large levels of youth unemployment, large levels of drug abuse among the youth, you may be creating a bigger situation that you cannot deal with. Rather than if we had, it's not that we would be able to provide opportunities for everyone, but I think people just want to feel they belong. Their views are respected. Their concerns are our concerns. If you don't do that and you push them out, there are extremist groups with lots of funding willing to take them in. And when they release them back into your society, you have bigger problems that you cannot solve over generations.
So we have a lot to do then. Let's look at one or two things again in Afghanistan. Let's look at the U.S. decision to pull out. You've heard from Joe Biden making that point when he took over all the steps that had been taken earlier, and so left with a little choice. He's had to do that. Should the U.S. have done that?
That's not for any of us to judge. Because,
based on
hold up, because first of all, we'll be making a judgment call without having all the facts that they have. That's one. I don't know the basis of the decision. I don't know all the facts that were available to them. I don't know what they know that we don't know. Personal wish, I don't think anybody could have stopped the U.S. from pulling out because that was their decision. And when you read back all the polls, majority of Americans were in support of America pulling out of Afghanistan. We can probably challenge the how. Could they have done it in a more structured manner? Could they have done it over time? Again, I don't have enough facts to be able to say a yes or a no. But for me, honestly, the lesson for me was this, that it is the citizens that build up their country. We have the responsibility to build our country. You can get the support and the assistance of the international community, but ultimately, it is up to us, the leaders and the followers, to build up this country. It requires good followership, it requires good leadership. And when you don't get involved and work at building up your country, what happens is you would find the planes, the international planes taking off, and your citizens hanging onto the wings of the planes. They'll be left on the tarmac. America, the American government has a primary duty to the people of America. We would like to see them do more globally, but that is a responsibility we are putting on them. Their duty is to their citizens. Their citizens vote them into office with expectations of what they should do for them. We as Ghanaians should be building up ours and not expecting that anyone owes us a duty to come and save us from ourselves.
Okay. But personally, based on your experience there, would you have wanted to see the U.S. Army staying there a bit longer?
I think it was time for the Afghans to wear their big boy pants and pull up and do the work they need to do, especially with the political elite. In engagements, there was always a sense of entitlement. And let's be fair, there was perceptions of large-scale corruption in government, not just the immediate one that was overthrown, but even the previous ones. And there was a disconnect between the governing elite and the people. And I mean across political lines, whether in government or opposition. And it's like they were self-serving, they were not listening to the people, and they were doing their own thing. But yet you expected the same people to send their sons into the army to fight and die. It wasn't going to happen. And so you'll see, when you look at the numbers, they said the Taliban's were between 80,000 and 100,000. The Afghan army was over 300,000. And they're surprised that the Afghan army capitulated so easily in the face of the Taliban's. But the people always felt that their leaders had already sold out. It was only about themselves. So why would they be expected to go fight? There are reports that even the army did not have basic resources that they needed to fight. The political elite was taking care of themselves. So who did they want to go and fight for them?
Okay. But I mean, based on what you know about Afghanistan also, I mean, during the time you were there and things, I mean, as part of your briefings, you had been told a lot about Taliban and all. How do you foresee the future of Afghanistan with Taliban in charge now?
I don't think anybody can tell. I think it's really a wait-and-see situation. So far, they've announced an amnesty for all former officials and basically everyone. JoyNews, one of their largest media organizations, has reported that their female anchors are still being allowed to work. The Taliban went to their offices and basically took arms, but let them continue working. Initial indications is almost as if the Taliban this time want to play different. They want to show that they've changed. They are more moderate. And so they are doing this whole amnesty. They've announced they're not going to harass anyone. All Afghans should be allowed to go about their business.
Okay.
We would want to hope that that continues. But of course, there's massive concern for the women and the young girls of Afghanistan. They've also said that they will allow them to continue in school, which is a very big change from the Taliban of 20 years ago. Okay. So we hope that long may this spirit of moderation and tolerance continue, but really it's a wait-and-see situation.
Okay. My guest, Charlotte Osei, former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and was part of the UN team of electoral commissioners tasked to supervise the conduct of elections in Afghanistan, and she's been telling us about her days in Afghanistan. She's also been telling us about, some lessons she believes we can learn. But what has karma got to do with calming down?
Oh, there's some days you wake up and it's like karma is on steroids. Karma needs to take a chill pill, that's it.
But coming from you, karma, please calm down small, why? And it was at a certain time, at the time we were talking about procurement issues.
You were, I wasn't.
We were, as a country, we're talking about it. In fact, our parliament was talking about it.
Okay.
So when the person accused of not doing right procurement says karma, and we know what karma is. Calm down small, why?
You do know what karma is?
Yes, I do know what
What's karma?
I'm coming. I'm asking you the question. I'm asking you the question. So that particular tweet, and I saw all the responses.
That was funny.
People saying, as for me, I want karma to continue. And all of that. Why? Why that one? I mean, tell us.
Now I have to justify my tweets to you? I don't think you have that power.
No, I don't have that power. But I know you were communicating something.
Well, one of my Facebook followers, when we put out the promo for this show yesterday, he said I should not mention the word karma. I think I want to be guided by his advice.
You've just mentioned the word karma.
I know, I've preached.
So now that you've mentioned karma, don't tell us. I mean,
because, we are building a nation. And we really need to be a bit more careful how we go about a lot of things that we do. When you talk about karma, karma is the biblical equivalent would be what you sow is what you reap.
Exactly.
And we always look at it as if you sow corn, you would not reap beans. But we forget that if you sow one corn seed, you are not going to reap one seed. It grows into a plant, it produces a lot of fruit. So there's the principle of multiplication in everything that we do. And even our thoughts are seeds, our actions are seeds. And when you reap it, you reap in multiples. And that's why we should also be very careful how we manage certain situations. Because, this thing is like a roller coaster. That's just how life is. It's up and down, round and round. So we should be guided.
And in being guided, that seed that was planted years ago.
Well, we're all watching the harvest, aren't we?
We're watching the harvest.
I guess so.
What was the seed that was planted years ago?
Well, that's a book. Topic for another day, yes.
Topic for another day.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody wants to know whether, we're talking about Kwekwajiman Menu at the time, health minister.
You are, I'm not.
No, and we, including, I was part of it actually.
That's you.
Yes, we're discussing it, and then that tweet comes in because Kwekwajiman.
A little mischief is good for the soul.
Oh, okay. Okay. I get it now. But I mean, on a personal level, when you look at all that has happened within that space, particularly the procurement of Sputnik V vaccines, Parliament has been investigating. I'm sure you may have followed a bit of a thing or two about the investigations. Does it end there? Should we end there?
Well, it's not for me to say. Again,
You're a citizen.
Yes, I'm a citizen, and so I'm going to go back to the society that we're building for ourselves, the kind of nation that we're building for ourselves, and the recognition that life is really, it's never a plain. Life is a series of valleys and mountains. When you're in the valley, you don't get despondent, you don't get into a comfort zone. When you're on top of the mountain, you don't get cocky, knowing that the position may reverse, at any time. Now, one of the cardinal principles of the rule of democracy is the rule of law. The rule of law simply means that every citizen should receive the same treatment. As soon as you start making distinctions in how you treat citizens, whether it's in the law court or before Parliament or in the court of public opinion, what happens is that the institutions start losing the trust of the people. And when they lose trust, they lose legitimacy
Okay.
What that means is that if Winston comes to take my land, rule of law requires that I should go to court to get justice because I have evidence to show the land is mine. If people go to court and because Winston is better connected, or Winston is from this party or this ethnic group, and Winston gets justice that he does not deserve, the lesson now becomes that do not trust the justice system. So if Winston takes my land, I must find another way of getting justice. You understand?
Yeah,
so what this now breeds is a situation where you do not have trust in the structures and institutions of state, and then they lose legitimacy. And that's how the breakdown starts. Okay. Until you get to the situation where you wake up one day, and if it's not the Taliban, it's Boko Haram leading your youth, and they are taking over government. That's why I'm saying that in all our actions, in all our utterances, we should be very careful that we are not breaking down the structures of democracy. We should be very careful that we are not
breaking them down.
I can't say that. I'm just saying we should be careful. Every time that the media fails us by not speaking the truth or by taking sides, we all lose. Okay. Every time that Parliament or the judiciary acts in a way that makes people feel that this is not justice, we all lose because we're chipping at those institutions of state and the trust that we should have in them. And so, ultimately, we will break down our own systems. And when you don't have rule of law, what you have is chaos. We don't want to get there, but we must be guided and we must understand that this process is almost like something you must do daily, working at it and making sure that you are acting from a place of right. And, you know, leaders need to understand that people can feel authenticity. People know instinctively when politicians are just doing rhetorics, all sides, you know. And the people who are on your side may cheer you on, but they also know that you're not being true to the law. You're not being true to the principles of justice. And slowly, we're eroding our democracy. We're chipping at it daily. The rule of law must apply. We must treat all people the same. If the law is broken by Winston and we sanction Winston, when Kojo does the same thing, we must sanction Kojo. Otherwise, we're creating a system of inequality and injustice. And that is what happens, and then we're now in a global village. What that means is that tomorrow, the Taliban may decide that, oh, there's a country called Ghana. They have gold, they have bauxite, they have oil. We want to be in on that. And start putting funds and supporting all the people you've pushed to the side. And they now feel that, you know what, this is now really our chance to get the kind of governance we want that makes us feel like we are citizens and we're in charge.
Talking about Winston broke the law at the time and we sanctioned him with the same law. And if Kojo does the same, we should sanction Kojo also. Someone will ask the question, so if we felt that Charlotte Osei violated procurement rules, how about Ajiman Menu?
You have answered your own question. Next question, please.
That's the feeling you have?
I don't have any feeling. You answered the question. You asked and you answered.
So I'm asking you, that's the feeling, is that a feeling you have?
The public can judge that better.
Okay. Where were you on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of December 2020?
At the beach.
You didn't vote?
No, I didn't.
You didn't monitor the elections?
No.
Why?
Why should I? Did you?
I did.
Yeah, that's part of your work. You were paid for it, weren't you?
I am paid for that.
Thank you.
I'm only asking to find...
I wasn't paid to monitor the elections.
Okay.
So I can't have time with my children at the beach. What's your problem?
No, as a former, as a former chairperson of the Electoral Commission.
Former?
Former, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's former.
I thought you should be concerned about elections. You're concerned about the situation
that's your feeling.
Well, you're concerned about the situation in Sal.
Yes, I am. But what did you want me to do? Go and knock on people's heads and say, go out and
maybe go and vote?
In Sal?
No, wherever you registered.
How does that change the fact that elections...
Did you register?
No.
You did not?
No.
You don't feel like wanting to have a lot to do with our electoral system?
That's not true. Okay. To a certain extent, but again, I'm entitled to my... remember, you're asking me questions like I'm a public official. Remember that I'm now a private citizen. I can do whatever I want to do.
Okay. I know.
Within the remit of the law, of course.
I know. And that's why these are questions. And
that's why I was at the beach having
fun. Provided
fun.
answers.
Thank you. I'm being nice today.
You should be nice.
No, I don't have to be. Not the should. I can be. But
anyway,
I don't have to be.
Anyway, talking about being nice, we're wrapping up shortly. My guest, Madam Charlotte, and we'll wrap up on, some proposals that have come up, and I just want your view on this. Okay. The fact that, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, her deputies having to go through parliamentary vetting before approval. What's your view on that?
My view is that any policies or any reforms that widen the space, that create new avenues for inclusiveness, that create avenues for transparency, should be embraced. My view is that anything that makes us feel as citizens a sense of ownership of our own institutions and creates accountability by appointed or elected officials of state should be encouraged. Yes.
So in
I like the way you said,
this should be encouraged?
I've answered your question. It depends on the principles that I haven't followed.
Oh, okay, so what's your biggest regret as when you were as EC boss at the time?
Biggest regret? It's very hard. I haven't thought of that. Biggest regret? I think that there are things I wanted to do, but I was appointed on 2 months to a major district assembly, national district assembly elections. And right after that, we had to go into preparation for elections. There are some internal administrative reforms I would have liked to see through.
You want to share them with us?
No, this is not the time. But we just didn't have the time for that because we had to be focused on the electoral calendar and delivering on the elections. I think it would have been good to see through some of those internal structural issues that needed to be addressed. Regret? I'm not sure.
Madam Charlotte says, it's been great having you join us this morning on the Super Morning Show. But before we wrap it all up...
you keep saying that we're going to wrap it, and then before
we're wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up. So I'm giving you a chance to say your final comments to Ghanaians.
Oh, my final comments would be that I would wish that we would all just take a minute and just speak a blessing over Afghanistan. Pray for God's light to shine through Afghanistan, for God's peace to shine through. And just remind ourselves that there are some situations that we don't understand. It can only be understood from the perspective of God, which we're not. It says, the Methodist hymn says, God is his own interpreter, and he'll make it plain in his own time. And may God's will be done. May God use even the Taliban to bring peace and calm into Afghanistan. May the people of Afghanistan see an end to their pain and their suffering. They've been at war for so many years. It is time for them to have peace. And while we're at it, to also speak peace into Ghana. May God help us to understand the the beautiful country that we've been blessed with. May God help us to understand that the beauty of our country and the strength of our country is in our diversity, the different kinds of people and cultures and faiths and beliefs that we're blessed with. And may God help us to be able to harness that strength and to see each other as brothers and sisters, and to, rather than looking on our differences and using it as the means to hate and to exclude, to rather learn to embrace those differences and use it to build up this country. May we learn to respect the voices of all. May we learn to put value on the voices of all our people and get to a place of true inclusion where we know that whether you are young and you're shouting, fix the country, or you're old and you're shouting, fixing the country, these are all legitimate claims that we can use to build a bigger and a better country.
Thank you very, very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
We're very, very grateful that you made time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, good to be here. This is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Stay with us.
All right, so interesting conversations there with former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei. She said a lot. I mean, what she had to say about Afghanistan was quite interesting, and the insights she had whilst working there. And then she also got to explain her karma tweet, which many people were linking to the issues that were going on with Health Minister Ajimang Menu. So there's a lot to take away from that. The one bit, or the quote I'm taking out of all of that is, a little mischief is good for the soul. We're taking a break here on the AM show. We're coming back with Showbiz, which is also good for the soul. Stay tuned in.